Welcome back, this is Baller Scuba with more Let's Play Xenosaga Episode 1. I'm joined, as always, by our illustrious crew of Shiana and KOS-MOS. When we last left off, we were on board the Durandal, inside the Elsa, which is on board the Durandal. I have gone ahead and sold all my barter items, all the stuff that have no other use than to be sold. Things like the unicorn horns, the junked circuits, and the scrap iron. I think those are the only ones. I do highly recommend that you get at least 6,000 G at this point. So that's why I sold everything now. I also upgraded some ethers, some techs, and some skills, but I'll go over those later. For now, we need to go back into the database because we have not done it in quite some time. And there are quite a few things that we need to go over this time, including some secondary entries on some of the database entries. First up, we have eggs. Eggs come in various shapes, which are determined by their functions. The Federation military standard issue eggs are all fitted with a standardized interchangeable cockpit module. By exchanging their limbs, weapons, and armor, they can be modified to adapt to various situations and environments, as you might expect. Vector's eggs are not mass-produced, but test models intended for eventual distribution to civilian consumers. They're prototypes, basically. Thus, only government special ops units and certain divisions of the military have access to these awesome vector eggs. The eggs used on board the Durandal were also vector-made models obtained via the same channels. So apparently the Durandal has some good connections in order to get this equipment. Italia, that we have seen? Yeah, we have seen Italia. Attract inhibitor, though, that is definitely new. This is a device used to inhibit the Zohar emulator's functions. In biochemistry, an inhibitor indicates a substance used to block enzymatic functions, as opposed to a catalyst. It's the opposite of a catalyst. Basically, it slows everything down, which is what they wanted to do with the Zohars, what Junior wanted to do with the Zohars. We will get to Junior eventually. Betty, the name of the Gnosis human thing. A specimen of a transformed Gnosis in the Kukai Foundation's possession. She was named Betty for the letter B monogrammed onto her personal effects, and she's completely creepy as hell. All this is the same. Holy crap, there's a lot of it. I wish they would give me more on Chaos, but they don't, unfortunately. Nor do they give us more on Cherenkov, even though we've learned a lot more about it. I thought that as we went through, the database added to the same ones, but I was wrong. They don't seem to be doing that. At least to this point. They still might do that. Maybe I'm thinking of later games. We've seen, all this. We have seen all of this. Don't forget to take your meds. That's a line from Cherenkov's past. This is a phrase spoken by Cherenkov's wife. She refers to the medication he requires to maintain the effects of a personality corrective procedure. Apparently, individuals who have undergone this procedure require supervision, as evinced from her comment, "I'm the one who will be held responsible." In other words, he's not really responsible for his own actions as much as she is, which is kind of a weird thing to do at that point. But I guess it's not without precedence, but it's still weird. All this has been seen. We're starting to fill this in. We are definitely starting to fill this in. There's still a long ways to go, but we are at least starting to fill in the database. Is this... Yeah, that we have seen that one. Every once in a while they'll get one and I'm just like, is that new? No. Headgear, that one is new. The object thrown at Cherenkov by his wife. A sensory linkage device using the UMN as a conduit. It provides virtual reality experiences at home. It is similar to the goggles used by Shion and her team for KOS-MOS's maintenance. I assume that means when they dove into her encephalon. The phrase, "I can get all the love I need with this," refers to her affair with another man via the headgear, so it's not actually stimulating her directly. That, combined with the fact that she applied for self-cloning, indicates that she does not seek direct contact with another individual in any way. That's kind of an assumption there. Regardless, our hearts go out to poor Cherenkov, who was simply used and abused. Sure, exactly. Hoodlums. They have something for hoodlums in here. The group of hoodlums who confront Cherenkov at the dock colony is what this is referring to. It is uncertain whether they resented soldiers in particular or if they were simply looking for a fight. Either way, all of them get the daylights beaten out of them by an out-of-control Cherenkov. That's one way to put it. It seems like the people writing the database started to have a sense of humor at this point in the game, where they're just like, I don't know what to write anymore. Yeah, we've seen that one. Isolation area is new, a holding area within the Durandal used to quarantine the Zohar. Since the Zohar emulators emit a certain wavelength of energy that attract the Gnosis, all recovered emulators are kept in a specialized protective container. Pretty much the area where we were before. Junior is new. We finally get an entry on Junior. It's not very specific at all. His full name is Gaiden Kukai Jr. He's the director of the Kukai Foundation. That little guy is the director. His hobby is collecting ancient text and literature, as well as ancient, relative to his time period, weapons. In other words, he's finding stuff like Moby Dick and pistols, and he loves the Wild West, and he wants to be Billy from Xenogears. The official records state that he was born in TC 4755 and is the adopted son of Gaiden Kukai. So he's got named Junior, but he's an adopted son? 4755. Just out of curiosity, let's look at let's look at Jin, because Jin, they should give us a birth date, 4732. So he's 35 at 32, so that means it's 4767. 4767, so according to this, Junior is 12. According to, quote-unquote, the official records. Who knows if that's really true, because it kind of looked like Junior was at the motion conflict during the cutscenes that we saw. We don't know for sure if that's the motion conflict, or if he was really there. Maybe he's hallucinating the whole thing, but that's what it implied. That's what it implied. This is, all of this is the same, but we have a second one for the Kukai Foundation here. The Kukai Foundation was a special organization established soon after the end of the motion conflict, and its sole purpose was to subjugate the UTIC organization. Since then, most of its military forces were decommissioned, and the other divisions branched off into independent civilian corporations, thus forming the basis of the Foundation's present structure. The fact that Vector is one of the primary investors explains why the lion's share of the equipment installed on board the Durandal is made by Vector. Vector seems to be involved with damn near everything that we have encountered in the game so far. Even UTIC, to some extent, they have a hand in, which is very strange. Life recycling variant, this is referring to Cherenkov, a term which encompasses individuals or their descendants who have had their DNA, neural structure, or other biological components heavily modified. Some may display extraordinary physical abilities or superhuman powers, depending on the level of modification, but on the other hand, many suffer from adverse mental effects, like Cherenkov. In the case of Cherenkov, he was part of a super soldier program developed by a certain branch of the military, which they're not going to disclose to us. He was created via artificial insemination and equipped with several modifications before being sent off to battle. So he's apparently an artificially created real person? Like, I guess you could say it. He's a test tube baby. Well, kind of. Link experiment led by Cherenkov to activate the Zohar emulator. The word link indicates that the procedure entails connecting the Zohar with another entity. What was he trying to link it to? The Zohar to what? That's the question. Margulis, I think we have seen before. It's probably... yeah. I think we have seen this one before. Marion King. This I actually didn't know. From Grimm's Marion King, Mary's Child, a story about a girl who received from the Virgin Mary the keys to the 13 doors in heaven. Now, I've read Grimm's fairy tale. I have it in my room right now, actually. I don't remember this story. So maybe I'll go back, try to read it, let you guys know if I can remember. But honestly, I don't remember this story, just Mary's Child. That's really the important thing out of that, I would say, is that Junior wanted to name the Zohar Jesus, more or less, is what they're going for, apparently. Marking on the forehead, right, Cherenkov's forehead. This marking is given to every individual who has undergone the personality corrective procedure. The mark is made by modifying the inner skin at a molecular level, then connecting that area with the part of the brain that was corrected. Therefore, it appears when the recipient's emotions rise beyond a certain threshold. So it's actually connecting part of the brain to the forehead. That's so weird. Mary is 20, born in 47-47, so Junior being 12, hooking up with a 20-year-old is damn good work. Chief of the Kukai Foundation's strategy division. Mary is in charge of strategy, apparently. I did not realize that. Maybe it's just my prejudice at her having a southern accent, but she doesn't seem like the brightest strategist. She supports Junior and Gaiden and commands the Durandal along with her older sister Shelly. Although she was born in Milsha, she speaks with an unknown planetary accent. Well, thank you. At least it's somewhat addressed. Like, what the hell's with her accent? She is the life of the party within the Foundation. Her full name is Mary Godwin. She adopted that surname after being rescued by the Foundation. Now, Godwin sounds like it means something. Unfortunately, I don't know the relevance of it. We finally have an entry for the Milshan conflict. We've talked about it enough. You would think this would show up once in a while. A war constantly referred to throughout the episode. No. This is referred to throughout all 3 games. I'm telling you that right now. And I'll give away a little bit. In one of the games, we do some stuff with the Milshan conflict. It's actually pretty damn cool. The outbreak of hostilities began 14 years ago and ultimately dragged the entire Federation into it. The name originated from the fact that the territory of Milsha, where Xion was born, was the site of the most vicious battles. As for what exactly happened in Milsha at the time, that story will have to wait until episode 2. Blah, blah, blah. Let's see what else we got here. Mutations in genomes, a phrase implying that genomes or hereditary information will somehow get around all obstacles in order to pass itself on. I don't necessarily agree with that, but I don't even know why that one... Whatever, we're moving on. Yes, mutations in genomes. Nano Machines. I think everybody to this point knows what Nano Machines are. Back then it was kind of a creepy thing to talk about, though, when this game came out. Even 10 years ago, Nano Machines. Oh, that's no, never happened. Nano is the word for dwarf in the Greek language. A Greek language. The Greek language. 1 nanometer equals 1 billionth of a meter. What is that? 10 to the -9 power? Something like that. The in-game references to atom-sized machines, which are used for everything from repairing body cells to terraforming. Many varieties of nanomachines exist for various purposes, and their components range from complex proteins to traditional mechanical parts. I don't know how you can have atom-sized mechanical parts, but the game says that you can. Nanomachines are used in recovery items and certain ether skills used by Xion and the other characters. So how is everybody able to heal and, I don't know, do Chaos's like finger bang attack? Nanomachines, of course. Of course, nanomachines explain everything. Nano treatment, it's a medical treatment using nanomachines, as you might expect. Nano treatment of illness and injury in this world is about as common as our use of drugs. Momo tried to treat Cherenkov's injuries with nanomachines capable of cellular restoration, not regeneration. However, Cherenkov adamantly avoided this treatment for fear that it would trigger a violent reaction to the chemical which controls his emotions. He figured that the nanomachines would fix him too well and it would undo his personality reconditioning, is what they are trying to imply there. Notice of cloning procedure completion. A document which Cherenkov's wife received from the Federation Health Department. Since the revocation of the Life Recycling Act, strict restrictions, really, were placed on the process of cloning for personal reasons. You cannot clone somebody so that you can have 2 wives. It doesn't work that way. After a lengthy application process, only those deemed physically and mentally sound with a record of positive contributions to the Federation government are granted this privilege. For Cherenkov's wife, who has always avoided intimacy, both physical and emotional, with others, I don't know where the database is getting this information. The method of cloning to leave behind descendants must have been a fairly natural decision. However, to Cherenkov, who dreamed, or imagined that he dreamed, of experiencing a connection with others, her decision came as an unbearable blow, a negation of his very existence and purpose. And then he pretty much wanted to be by himself all the time after that. At least that's what the cutscene said. The facility where they... Do we really need to? I guess we do. Yes, this is where Cherenkov was committed. Its purpose is to literally recondition an individual's personality by processes such as altering neural networks or placing implants that regulate hormone production. In this age, vicious criminals are subjected without exception to this procedure. Those that go through the procedure are returned to society after they successfully complete their re-education programs. So, it sounds like some kind of labor camp. You know what I mean? They make it sound terrible. I don't know if I like the sound of that kind of a future. Phenomena like this. Occasional Gnosis sightings have been recorded throughout history, but due to the small scale of attacks and minimal damage which resulted, most of these encounters were lost as unofficial reports. Joachim Mizrahi was one of the few scientists who focused and researched these Gnosis encounters. This, of course, is referring to the time before the Miltian conflict. I will say that the Miltian conflict and the Gnosis are very much involved. I can't really say how just yet, but Gnosis have been around since before the Miltian conflict, and they were rare. After the Miltian conflict, they're freaking there all the time, ruining my day. Pieta, a central supercomputer owned by the Yuriev Institute. They in turn are a research facility built by another giant business conglomerate rivaling Vector, the Hyams Group. I don't think I remembered the Hyams Group. They're not going to be as big as Vector in terms of the story, I can tell you that. Ariadne, a planetary member of the Galaxy Federation which vanished during the Zohar emulator experiment. It had a population of approximately 1.5 billion. I assume people. I assume they don't count sheep. This isn't New Zealand. An experimental laboratory owned by the UTIC organization was located here. It was also home to Cherenkov after his personality corrective procedure. Wait, was the emulator experiment done by Cherenkov? I don't think it was. So they blew up Cherenkov's home planet? That sucks. 1.5 billion. Earth has 7 billion, so not nearly as big as Earth, but still 1.5 billion people is 1.5 billion people. Post-war reparations, a policy for reparatory compensation established at the end of the Miltian conflict that caused a severe drain on all parties. I honestly don't know why it would be all parties. I would assume just the people that had to pay. However, many sectors from various autonomous states failed to benefit from these reparations, and after 14 years, this issue is yet to be fully resolved. Reparations usually aren't. The only ones that I can think of are like World War I. Didn't Germany owe everybody money? That's pretty much why they were so upset. Whatever. We're gonna move on.